Church is cool, but do you ever wonder, when were Egyptian civilizations, the Bible, and Chinese civilizations, like, which ones were happening at the same time? Which ones interacted with each other and which one overlapped? Would it be like Jesus' time? Would it be like Moses, Abraham, Adam? I don't know. And I'm a Christian. So what I did is I asked the smartest person that would, a biologist, geneticist, and a man named Dr. Robert Carter, who was featured on Is Genesis History. If there is a young Earth, an Earth that is only 6,000 years old, which some people do believe, when were these people existing? Because I thought Egyptian civilization was so old that people lived in Egypt that studied Egyptian culture and civilization and history. But I don't know. So I asked him, and this is what he said. I feel like there are like these giant gaps of like how old the Egyptians are and like the Chinese dynasties that like it's hard to fit those into what the biblical timeline is.
Yes, but the first Chinese dynasty itself was founded a few decades after the Tower of Babel. If we just take their dates and our dates and line them up, they fit.
Let me tell you a simple thing, and I bet you didn't know this, that the Victorian age in Europe was happening at the exact same time as the Wild West out here in Texas. You see, sometimes these perceptions of time and traditions, people may mistake them and think that all things were equal or the same or similar at the exact same time. And I understand what this young lady is talking about. She's thinking about when the so-called stories of Abraham was happening, what was going on in China, what was going on in Egypt, and were they overlapping in their communication? This would be true. There were some overlap with the Egyptians and the people of the Israelites, yes. And there would have been some overlap between Moses and Egypt, Abraham and Egypt. This is what the gentleman that she brought on tried to bring about, how there was overlap within those two organizations. The Bible even says that Abraham, during a famine, went down to Egypt. And he's there and he was speaking with Pharaoh. So it indicates that Pharaoh in Egypt was around during the time frame of Abraham. Now, as far as the Chinese dynasty, he's right. The first Chinese dynasty was in around the same time frame or right after the Tower of Babel story supposedly occurred. But yet there were, of course, other Chinese tribes and clan groups that were in existence long before the first Chinese dynasty. So you have to draw the separation between the Chinese dynasty and the people who become the Chinese dynasties and all the other people there before them. Now, but the heart of this is the younger creationist story falls flat as soon as you go beyond the 6,600 years ago of Adam and Eve. So that puts it roughly about 4,600 BCE. But what do we know about history? What do we know about even in that area? Just focus on that area in the Levant, in Mesopotamia. We know that in the 5th millennium, which would be the 4000 BCE era, that the Sumerians, the Akkadians, were present, living and existing. We know that they were living and existing in the 6th millennium, the 7th millennium, the 8th millennium. We know they were there in the 9th millennium. We know that the Egyptians were relatively the same, or before they became fully Egyptians, they were the Cushites, and that they were in existence in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th millennium. This all pushes the history of man much older than the Bible, way beyond the young earth creationist story. We know that the Younger Dryas flood happened somewhere between 12,000 and 9,000 BCE. The earth sea levels rose 400 feet in a very short period of time. That short period of time created the Persian Gulf, which caused the people who we know as Sumerians to migrate up to modern day Kuwait. And from that migration to modern day Kuwait, they joined with the Akkadians and they started establishing the Sumerian Akkadian Empire. And then Sargon comes in and truly establishes the empire. But we know that it began thousands of years prior to Sargon. So the young earth creation story doesn't work. We also know that there were pyramids that were built during the time frame. The Great Pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx was built the last time that the Saharan desert was green. That puts it at a time frame of roughly at a minimum 12,000 BCE up to about 36,000 BCE. So we know that there had to have been some type of civilization that was in existence to be able to build those structures. And they existed, they lived. This is much, much older than the Bible. We know that there are footprints found in the Americas that are 25,000 years old. We know that they existed prior to the biblical story. There are civilizations all over the world, evidence of them, whether in construction, we've talked about the pyramids in Sri Lanka, or anywhere else, that demonstrates that people, humanoids, Homo sapiens, animals, the planet itself was around longer than the time frame of the Bible, much older than 4,600 BCE. This is just a story that some Israelite people who separated from the Canaanites decided to create in order to create their own antiquity and create their own history. So the real answer, and maybe he gave some of that answer, I don't know, because I couldn't find the whole video, but if she really wanted to know, it's a very simple quest. Google Scholar, Academia EDU, those sources would have helped you out easily. Actually, regular old Google would have satisfied that question. So y'all have a great day. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.